Coming up on AEA Amplified, the largest avionics show of the year is set with more training than ever. Let's speak with Mike Adamson and preview the AEA International Convention and Trade Show.
From the Aircraft Electronics Association, this is AEA Amplified, a podcast for aviation's technology experts, with your host, Jeff Hill.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of AEA Amplified, sponsored by Genesis Aerosystems, a Moog company, providing full cockpit upgrade solutions for customizable EFIS displays, UHF and VHF aircraft radios, and autopilots, plus much more for retrofit and OEM factory fit aircraft. To learn more about the upgrade solutions, visit genesis-aerosystems.com. Hi again, everyone. I'm your host, Jeff Hill, for this April 18th, 2023 edition of AEA Amplified. And our guest today is the President and CEO of the Aircraft Electronics Association, Mr. Mike Adamson. Mike, tell us what avionics professionals can expect to experience next week, April 24th through the 27th, at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thanks for having me back on. I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk about the big show in Orlando coming up. As you mentioned, it is the largest in the avionics industry, and we're excited to kick it off next Monday, the 24th. So the show is 4 days in total. It gets going with Monday morning. We have an opening session that leads into our very popular new product introductions, followed by an afternoon of training. And then we really get into the show with a couple more days of exhibit hall and training spread throughout. So what does that mean? That's from the exhibit hall standpoint, we've got 130 plus exhibitors. We're going to have more than 300 shops that are going to be in attendance. And I think that represents about 16 different countries that will be there. And throughout the week, it's Old Home Week, right? It's a gathering for a lot of familiar faces. There's a lot of social activity. A lot of the large corporations sponsor social gatherings, networking with their dealers. We've got our own First Nighter event, which is a very popular addition to the show. And then a couple highlights. This week, we're doing some things a little bit differently. We've got this year a delegates conference on Thursday, which is new. We also have a pretty popular OEM session that goes on during Thursday. So we've invited the designees in the industry to come learn from the different authorities, primarily the FAA and Transport Canada, on how they can work closer with the different civil aviation authorities, get access to data, learn about liability insurance, and just really see how the association can represent their voice a little bit better. And so we're really excited about that new addition. Also, sprinkled throughout our regular schedule of business, regulatory, and technical training, we've got some sessions focused on workforce development. We've brought our Next Stop partners back to talk about recruiting veteran personnel into your business. We've got a special session this year with the Association for Women in Aviation Maintenance, focused on the opportunities that exist for women in the workforce, specifically maintenance and avionics. So we've got some really exciting programs, a completely packed schedule. We've done a lot of hard work to put that together for everybody and offer something for everybody in an organization, whether you're a technician, you're in leadership, you're in sales, you're an owner manager. There's really something for everybody at this show. So we look forward to seeing everyone there.
And Mike, as we lead up into the run-up of the show, less than a week out, you recently announced that Dewey Conroy of Pacific Coast Avionics will be honored as the Member of the Year for 2023. And also, Avidyne has been named the Associate Member of the Year. So why do you think that AEA members chose Dewey and Avidyne for these two outstanding awards?
Well, first of all, congratulations to those two. And for those who know the association, know that we're doing it a little bit different this year with our announcement in advance of the show. We've decided to give the honorees a little more press leading up to the show, allow their companies to recognize them as well, and still properly honor them during the opening ceremonies. For Dewey, I've known him a long time. Congratulations to him. He's been very involved with the association over the years. Has an excellent reputation out on the West Coast. And I think along with the folks over at Avidyne, the members look to those people who exemplify excellence in the industry and have given the members of the association, the industry, extra effort in the prior year. And so this is Avidyne's second recognition. I believe they were in the early 2000s, the last time they were honored. And so I'm really looking forward to welcoming them on stage to accept this prestigious award, as well as Dewey and the team at Pacific Coast Avionics. For those who may not be familiar, this isn't the AEA staff that selects these nominees and these winners. This is a selection by the membership, and the nominees actually come from a dedicated committee. So a group of associate members, typically OEMs and/or distributors, put the slate of regular members, the shops, they put those together, and then vice versa. So for the slate of nominees for the associate members, those are selected by a committee of regular members of the shops. So we've got a group of people who understand what these companies are doing to help the industry and the association, and vice versa for the shops and what they're committing to the industry. So it's really neat every year to see the list, and it's an honor to be nominated. And I think we've got those folks featured in the April issue of Avionics News. If you want to read about the different nominees, I think there's 5 for each category. So congratulations to those folks and those companies as well, because it's special to just be mentioned in that list. And then again, congratulations to Dewey and to Avidyne. We look forward to welcoming you on stage and presenting you with the awards this year.
You bet. Congratulations to both of them. And the presentation will take place on Monday during the opening session. That's April the 24th. And Mike, we also understand that the headquarters hotel for this year's show, which is the Gaylord Palms Resort and Convention Center, it's been in high demand from day one. And we have many attendees that will be staying off site. That includes the neighboring Marriott Village, Orlando. But can you share just a little bit about how the AEA handles situations when the headquarters hotel is sold out?
Yeah, so this is actually pretty unique for us. Not to say that the demand isn't there every year, but typically in the past when we've booked our allotted rooms, and those are based on prior year's numbers, right? So we have an idea of our room block that's needed to host our show. And we've unfortunately the last 3 years it's been a little bit different with the pandemic and how that's impacted things, but we've got a pretty good history of what our room block needs to be. And so when we book these shows 4 and 5 years in advance, we're looking for a specific number. We set that for Orlando at the Gaylord this year, and you'll kind of see a similar situation with Dallas next year, another Gaylord property. So we book these hotels 4 or 5 years out. We've got a set number of nights that we're looking for, and we know every year that those numbers will adjust, give or take a percentage. And typically in the past, we have had a situation where a hotel like this has got plenty of extra rooms and we can expand our block if needed. I think what's happened in the last 3 years with the hospitality industry more or less being turned upside down with the pandemic, things have changed. So the contracts to these hotels have flooded back in. People are trying to fit in their shows, and they're filling the house. And that's the case with us in Orlando this week. So when I say we've got rooms we can, sort of borrow from the hotel, that's not the case this year. It's completely sold out. Literally every room that we've got, and then there's probably several other groups that will be there during the same time. Every room that they've got reserved. So we're completely sold out. So that pushes us over to Neighboring hotels, these happen to be in the same brand, Marriott. So we're able to arrange a block with them at a discount for our members. And then to accommodate, because you are, a few miles away, we have set up a shuttle program where each morning and each afternoon, I believe 7:30 in the morning and 5:30 in the afternoon, a shuttle will depart from the village, the Marriott Village, and take convention goers over to the Gaylord and then return in the evening. I think that's the case every day except for the last day, which I think the last shuttle departs at 4:30 or shortly after the close of the training sessions. So we're just trying to make accommodations because we know this year is unique. It's not something we've run into in the past. We've always been able to sort of work some magic with the headquarters hotel and expand our room block, but that's just not the case. And I can't make the promise for next year. We'll be looking at it as much as we can to expand it in advance of the show, but we may be in the same situation just because that's where the hospitality industry is right now. That all being said, we are looking at how we can adjust those numbers. And one of the things I think is unique with us, we actually start talking about reservations. I think during our regional meetings, we bring up the fact that you probably need to book in advance, register in advance and book in advance. And we really hit that hard this past fall, and when we were doing our regionals in the different locations, and the members stepped up and reserved their rooms, and they registered in advance. And so we've got a lot of people who heeded the advice, but for those that didn't, hopefully we've accommodated well with the Marriott Village, and that will get us through Orlando, and we'll be in better shape as we approach Dallas in 2024.
And once again, we are visiting with Mike Adamson. He's the AEA president and CEO here on AEA Amplified, sponsored by Genesis Aerosystems, a Moog company. And Mike, I know it's not all work at the show because networking opportunities are so important for avionics professionals to engage with one another. And a few years ago, you changed the format for the First Nighter events. So what do you have in store for us this year?
Yeah, we're pretty excited. This is actually, I think Orlando was one of the first years we started to change the format. And what we noticed was a lot of our larger OEMs were hosting pretty significant parties, and there's just not enough nights in the week to fit everybody in. And so we didn't want to compete with those companies who also want to gather with their dealer networks and provide an evening of entertainment for them. So what we decided to do was to have our First Nighter event immediately after the training closes. And so we moved it up, we shortened it a little bit, and then we opened it up to everybody that has a badge. And I think that was the thing that really sets us apart. Literally anybody that's got a registration badge for the show can attend this special hospitality event. And so we've got exhibitors that in the past would have to buy something separate to attend. And of course, all of the regular registrations have that access. So this year, it's a Key West theme, greetings from Key West. So it'll be outdoors. We've got some surprises in there, but the food trucks, certainly be some libations, some Florida inspired cocktails. So it's just a nice outdoor evening, that welcomes everybody that's at the show, and it's a great way to kick off the week. We look forward to it every year. It's very popular. We, close to 1,000 people in attendance. It's just a great way to kick it off, and we're looking forward to doing it outside. We've had great luck with that in the past, and look forward to it again this year.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a lot of fun. And in terms of overall attendance for the show and how that might compare to recent years, what do you expect to see?
We're in great shape this year. We're really excited. I think we've had this conversation before, Jeff, and certainly the industry has. The last few years have been all over the place with regards to what to expect from attendance. And I think we're finally out of the woods with restrictions, international restrictions, citywide, restrictions. We're past all that. We're sort of free and clear of that. And so it's neat to see us get back to normal in that sense. And normal it is. I mean, you look at where we were in 2018, 2019 as we're leading up to the ADSB mandate. It precedes the health crisis in 2020 when we had to cancel. We had some pretty impressive numbers for our show, and we really can't compare that to 21 and 22 when we were still experiencing some of those restrictions that were impacting people's ability to attend. With those out of the way, a hot spot like Florida, the economy holding strong, the demand for upgrades and equipment, we're seeing the numbers that we're used to seeing. So we're really excited. Leading up to the show, we're in line with those past, pre-pandemic, pre-ADSB numbers, and we're excited about that. Hopefully that's an indicator for the future shows as well, and we'll just continue to grow. So I think I mentioned earlier, approximately 300 different shops. As I mentioned, 130 plus exhibitors, 16 different countries, so good international representation. We're really excited. We expect to see more on site because it's Florida, and I think a lot of the shops realize that when they're scheduling people to attend, they may have to wait to see what their own throughput looks like at their business, and can break folks away for a day or two at the show. And of course, as you know, you can register for daily admission to the show and do that on site and still take advantage of everything at a fairly low cost. So we hope to see that happen when we get to Orlando.
And of course, it all begins on Monday, April the 24th with the opening session, and that's the session where you typically give the annual State of the Association address. So without getting into the details, what are some of the highlights that you plan to cover this year?
Yeah, I don't want to tip anything off. We've got some pretty exciting announcements. Obviously, we'll talk about the state of the industry, some of the things that we've been focused on with regards to the committee work that we've done, some accomplishments we've got there, where we're headed going into the future. Bill's going to touch on some of that as well. There's been a ton of work following our strategic plan. I'm really excited for the members to learn more about everything that we're doing, because it continues to provide value. It focuses on some of the issues we've got with workforce, and it gives members a sounding board for some of the issues they may be facing from a business aspect as a dealer, their relationships with the OEMs and vice versa. There's just a lot of things that are going on that we've really been focused on with this strategic plan. And I think you're going to see the highlights of that, not only during the opening, but through different meetings throughout the week and as we follow up the show as well.
Mike, I know that, with over 100 hours of training sessions on the schedule, the convention is a lot of work, and it's certainly a large part of the AEA's business each year. Months and months of preparation go into it leading up to the show, as you've talked about a little bit. But when it's all over with after April the 27th comes to an end, what does the AEA team turn their focus to in the summer as we look towards the fall months ahead later in the year?
That's an excellent question, because the show is a big part of our business. Obviously, it's something that we spend months in preparation for leading up to, and obviously it creates new opportunities for us when we get back from the show, because we hear from our members. We conduct a board meeting there. We've got a lot of committee meetings that are happening, so we've got a lot of things to focus on. But while all that's going on, we still provide industry training, and we've got a full slate starting in May going through August and September. We're actually scheduled right now through September and working on expanding that. So we've got something in-house every month. And while we're focusing on that, we've got regulatory meetings that are taking place. We're hosting a session here in mid-May. We're obviously preparing for other shows. We attend Oshkosh in July, so we'll be working on that. And then in August, we follow with our own schedule of regional meetings. And we've sort of spent the last 2 or 3 months while preparing for the convention, thinking about what we can change with our regional meetings as well. And so you'll be able to look forward to a full schedule in the fall with some exciting new things that are coming out for that. So, I mean, it's nonstop. The show is a catalyst for the rest of the year with regards to business and value we can provide for our members. But there's a lot of things that could just continue with regards to the regulatory work, the training that's on site, the training that's online, and then preparation for a full fall meeting schedule with the regional meetings.
Well, Mike Adamson, thank you so much for joining us here on AEA Amplified. And even though we're less than a week out and just a few days from the start of the AEA convention, it's not too late to register for the show. You can still do that in advance online at aea.net/convention, or you can register on site at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando. If you're an avionics shop owner, manager, or technician, we hope to see you there for 4 days of technical training, over 100 hours of training sessions available, and it'll be the best experience your profession has to offer. And don't forget, you can watch the convention's opening session and new product introductions live through the Aero News Network production team, and you can watch that at airborne-live.net. Again, that is airborne with an e-live.net. Live streaming coverage will begin at 8:30 in the morning. That's Eastern Daylight Time on Monday, April the 24th. So tune in and check it out. Also, we invite you to attend training at the AEA's classroom, and that, of course, is at headquarters in Lee Summit, Missouri. There are several in-person and virtual live classes planned for the spring and summer months, and you can learn more about each of them and reserve your seat by visiting aea.net/training. And don't forget, the industry's top resource to address workforce development was recently launched, and that's at aerocareers.net. It is built by industry professionals and powered by the AEA. The website offers a spotlight on career paths in aviation, and it includes links to jobs, scholarships, aviation schools, veterans resources, information for educators, salary data, and much, much more. You can check it out and encourage anyone you meet who might have an interest in aviation to visit aerocareers.net. And finally, if your company is hiring, please post your career opportunities on the AEA jobs board at aea.net/jobs. And that is going to wrap it up for today. We hope you can join us again soon for another episode of AEA Amplified, sponsored by Genesis Aerosystems, a Moog company. To learn more about Genesis and its full range of upgrade solutions, visit genesis-aerosystems.com. Thanks again to AEA President and CEO Mike Adamson for being our guest today. And until next time here on AEA Amplified, for our producer engineer Aaron Ward, this is your host Jeff Hill, wishing you blue skies ahead, and we'll see you next week in Orlando. So long, everybody.